no, no. You're a...
Media. And that's it for now. More news at 6 o'clock on BBC One.
Good afternoon. Something of a north-south split, I think, in the weather over the weekend, a little bit that way at the moment, with one or two showers continuing to run into those northwestern parts into the evening. Elsewhere, a fine end to the day, and come to that, a fine night. But there will be some rain coming into western Scotland and Northern Ireland later on in the night. Fairly windy weather with it. Temperatures down on the last few nights, much cooler, fresher night for us all. And then tomorrow, well, that rain already, as we saw, into those northwestern parts, and that's going to push across the rest of Scotland, and eventually a few spots coming down into northern parts of England and Wales as well, with brighter weather and a few showers to follow into those northwestern parts. But for the southern half of the country, the day should be dry and bright with some sunshine, although even there it will tend to cloud over later on.
Now on to the Scottish news with Brenda Patterson.
Good afternoon. After nearly a decade in office, Donald Dewar looks likely to be moved from his post as Shadow Scottish Secretary. His replacement is expected to be Monklands West MP Tom Clarke.
The general election speculation over Mr Dewar's future has ebbed and flowed. At first he seemed likely to move, then he seemed equally certain to stay, particularly given his close friendship with the new party leader John Smith. But Tom Clarke's election to the Shadow Cabinet yesterday has provided Mr Smith with an opportunity to make a change at the top in Scotland. Mr Dewar had declared that he wanted to continue with the Scottish job, which he has held since 1983, and his initial reaction will probably be disappointment. But eventually he may find a move to another portfolio advantageous. Internal reaction has varied. Some doubt whether Mr Clarke can easily fulfil the challenging role, given his limited front bench experience. But the party's nationalist wing is said to be delighted at Mr Dewar's departure, believing a fresh face can only help Labour.
The country's chief constables are meeting the Scottish Office Minister, Lord Fraser, this afternoon to discuss the rise in armed crime. Official figures show that crimes involving guns have increased by 27%, a statistic which Lord Fraser has described as appalling. Meanwhile, there's been a warning from the Scottish Police Federation about dangerous levels of undermanning in Scotland's police forces.
Well, I think it causes problems of stress-related illness. We've got quite high percentages of officers having to retire in ill health. And just generally having to run around from call to call and not being able to deal with the complaints they get from members of the public properly.
Is it recruitment or is it cash?
It's cash at the end of the day. There's no shortage of people wanting to join the police. Last year there was something in the region of 7,000 applicants and we recruited around 600 of those. So as you'll see, there are plenty of people looking to join the police. Although really at levels of high unemployment, that's maybe not surprising. But it's cash at the end of the day.
The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds in Scotland has welcomed a £4,000 fine imposed at Dingwall Sheriff Court this morning on a man found in possession of 14 dead wild birds. The penalty is one of the highest ever imposed under the Wildlife and Countryside Act. Another 13 hospitals have applied to the Scottish Office for NHS Trust status, the largest number so far. They include major hospitals in Glasgow, Dundee and Inverness. Scottish Office Minister Lord Fraser has welcomed the applications as a vote of confidence in the government's health policy. And Scotland's weather, a mixture of sunshine and showers this afternoon, particularly in the west. And that's all from me for the moment. Reporting Scotland will be on BBC One at 6:30, and there'll be more Scottish news on BBC Radio Scotland's News Drive starting at 4:30. But from us for now, good afternoon.
The real issue at stake here isn't misusing animals, it's about using them at all.
People are unaware of the extent to which nature is a horrendous existence for most animals.
One obvious objection is that we eat a lot of them, so what did they get out of the bargain?
Subjugated by humans or willing partners? The story of domestication, the beastly truth. Antenna, Monday at 8 on 2.
Now, on 2, we continue our afternoon of sport with racing from Ascot, where we join Julian Wilson.
Welcome back to Ascot, where the weather's set fair for tomorrow's big day. It's been a glorious afternoon today. Quite a brisk wind, though, quite a brisk breeze, and the ground riding really well. Well, if you were with us earlier on BBC1 for the Brown Jack Stakes, the stewards inquired into the evident improvement of Gay Glint, who in his last race finished last of 9 behind Kansk in the July course at Newmarket. Today he won in convincing style with Kansk unplaced, and they accepted the explanation of the trainer Neil Graham and Michael Roberts. Michael didn't actually ride him at Newmarket, and I couldn't tell you exactly what the explanations were, but they related, I think, to a different pace today. Anyway, that was one for Michael Roberts of Pat Edery, yet to trouble the scorer today. And our fourth race of the afternoon is one that invariably turns up a decent horse. It's the Sandwich Maiden Stakes. And Michael Stout won the first 2-year-old race of the afternoon, and he's got the favourite in this one, which is called Blush Rambler. He's one of 4 runners and riders. There he is with Steve Cawthon in the plate in the colours of Sheikh Mohammed. Let's have the full list from Peter.
Yes, indeed. 1 is Blush Rambler, ridden by Steve Cawthon. 2, Dare Cliff, Michael Roberts. 3, Salatin, Willie Carson. And 4, Visto Si Stampi, ridden by Richard Quinn.
And Blush Rambler is odds-on favourite, likely to stay that way too, because it opened at 6-4 on, is now 7-4 on. Salatin 100-30 from 3s, Dare Cliff 6-1 from 5s, and Visto Si Stampi has gone right out from 7-1 to 12-1.